Hey guys, so I do a quick update of what I got going on around here. All the 140, in the last video you saw the engine was being painted and all that stuff. Obviously it's back in, runs, no leaks, everything's good in that respect. I did end up, because I felt like it, ended up adding an hour meter. So this is actually a bracket off of like an old 322, 332 where they mounted up in the front by the battery under the hood. Took that, I just kind of molded it to make it work so it would hold an hour meter, and clamped it with a hose clamp to the steering wheel, which is all the hour meters were for the 140s is what they were. They did a little different style hose clamp, but this one works, so got that on there. Engine's all good to go in that respect. When the engine was out too, it was easy to get the steering out of the front pivot, or the center pivot, cleaned all the grease out of that. Put that all back together with new grease, new tie rod ends, all that. Obviously the front axle was one of the first things already built on this. That already has new brass bushings in the axle and has new wheel bearings, so that's all good to go. You can see now that, the tractor from here forward's good to go. Got the rear end out of it finally. I do have O-rings for my turning shaft, so that'll all get taken out and all new packings and O-rings put in there, so that gets resealed. That doesn't leak anymore, so we're gonna fix that. And as you can see, I currently have the differential apart. My gears are in here for it, my counter shaft gear and my actual differential. That's all in really good shape. I just didn't really have to clean it out because this ATF kept everything really clean inside. So, but we took that all apart. So that way I had to pull this cover off. Basically all the gears stay in here. Your differential gear obviously is down here, your counter shaft gear's up here, and there are two clips here and here that hold my suction tube in, and that pretty much holds my gears in place. They all come out and they stay on this side of the axle half, and then this side you pull off. And so that's that. I got my axle shafts out. This one, which I knew about, one little spot on the keyway there, and it's got a little crack starting there. So there's a used one on eBay, and I'm thinking I'm gonna end up putting that in there just cause how that's starting to really crack out. This one's in good shape. And these needle bearings, being a real early rear end, were a non-caged needle bearing. When I pull them apart, I thought my cages had just wore off on them, which I found kind of weird because they sit in oil. But reading in the Tuck manual, they're a non-caged needle bearing, so I was gonna put them all back together, and they make like a super tacky grease that transmission rebuilders use and machinists use and stuff like that. I did order some of that for it, and then I was doing a little bit of looking, and I am actually able to. There's really nothing wrong with these bearings, but I had 50 years of use on them. I was able to get from John Deere and another supplier of vintage parts. I was able to get two new counter shaft bearings, two new differential bearings, and I believe it was this axle as well. This bearing's starting to get kind of gritty and have a little bit of play in it. So I'm replacing my two differential bearings, my two counter shaft bearings, and both outer axle bearings, and obviously it's getting new axle seals too. So the differential itself is going to be pretty well brand new in that respect. There's literally no wear on the gears, there's no chipping on the gears, there's nothing to complain about there, so that's good. But this was leaking down right in here at the bottom of the case. So the other thing is you can't get gaskets for these anymore, so I'm trying to finding some gasket material for this. I'm going to cut my own gasket. I was able to peel off the old gasket mostly in one piece, make a template on cardboard, make my own gasket for that. And then you can't get your gasket here where your whole pump gear motor mounts to, so we'll make our own gaskets for that, and that'll be good. Another little update here, if you guys remember, the original dipstick tube was this style where it bolted to the frame and it just literally slides in there with O-rings. Had issues with that because when it would flex and O-rings would pull out, and nothing but issues with that. So I got a slightly newer style dipstick tube like what's on my loader tractor, and as you can see, this is a thread-in style. So it's a thread-in style, so it'll be a much better seal I don't have to worry about, you know, you jerking it the wrong way or frame something twists just a little bit and it kind of pulls out of place, because that tab that mounts the frame, I did bend that down a little bit so it would push more pressure on it to hold it down, but it still didn't really do. Still would want to leak. So getting rid of eliminating that altogether, going with the updated style one that was on the newer of the older transmissions. So yeah, that's pretty much that, where we're at with all that stuff. Basically this tractor, all it needs left is a full restoration, which is not bad how it is, but I'm going to continue using it. So that's that. But I figured I'd give you guys an update of what we got going around here. Just finally finishing loose ends on this tractor, so I'll have 0 leaks anywhere, and giving the differential kind of a refresher. Pump itself, everything's working on it. Once I get it back together, I'm gonna get a gauge and do a pressure test on it, see where everything's at. I'm pretty sure everything's fine, everything worked on it. But because there's really these you can't get parts to my knowledge unless somebody else knows out there, but every place I've looked, there's no like rebuild parts or anything for those anymore. So that, and including the gear motor, the 90-degree gear motor that's mounted on here, you really can't get any of the relief valves or anything for these. So I'm not even gonna take that apart. I don't have any leaks or issues with it. It works. We're just fixing my leak on my turn shaft here, and we're leaving that alone because there's nothing wrong with that. This, because either way I had to split it to do this seal, and I was lucky enough to be able to get new bearings for it. I'm just gonna throw new bearings in it because tractor's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, so wouldn't hurt just to have some new bearings in it. So, but all right, I figured I'd just give you guys an update on what we got going around here, and I'll talk to you guys later.